Hey guys, I'm Valentine, and today I am here with Johannes. And Johannes, I met through Korea and Co. And the thing about him that I've loved since day one that I met him, and he has stayed true to this completely, is that he is one of the nicest people like I've ever met. And I mean that from the day one that I met you, what, maybe a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
to today. I just see how helpful you are to everybody, how helpful you've been to me, how positive and uplifting you've been to me. And so that has always made you just somebody that I admire, along with how well you do in the modeling industry here in Arizona. So there's a lot about you that I admire, and I look forward to picking your brain on a lot of the things that make you you. But how would you introduce yourself to the world?
All right, everyone. So my name is Johonas, or that's not my real name. It's Jonathan. I'm a model as well as an uprising athlete here in Arizona. Originally from Colombia, so I am Latino. You already know what it is. So yeah, I'll say that'll be the short and sweet of my introduction.
Okay, so wait, real quick, Johonas. I
Yes.
keep saying Johannes. You never corrected me. Johonas. Where did Johonas come from?
um,
If you
on
want to tell the audience.
So that's funny. My brother was the one that created that name for me. We
Okay.
just, when we were younger, we used to have nicknames for everyone. Um, his is a little, I'm not going to say it out there, but
Okay.
his was just not it. But
Not gonna expose him like that.
no. But he created mine basically just cutting out the Jonathan at the end.
Uh-huh.
Just put Joe playing around. We always said Joe, and then he just created Johannes at the end. So he
Johannes.
started saying Johannes.
Uh-huh.
And it was a thing between only myself and him.
Gotcha.
But it just grew out of there.
Yeah,
And then
for
I was
sure.
like, why not have it as my Instagram name? So when I first created Instagram, it was Johannes underscore C15.
C15. Oh, gotcha. And then I remember seeing it. I was like, "Who's Johannes?" And then I looked at your post. I was like, "Oh, Jonathan."
Yeah.
Real quick, is Johannes different from Jonathan, personality wise, the way you put yourself out there?
Honestly, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about
Simply
that.
because Jonathan is more of this shy, conservative, like just all to himself
Okay.
kind of
More
person.
introverted.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Johannes is extroverted. So I'm out there. I'm always,
Right.
trying to help someone out, or
Sure.
I'm not shy. I'm I'm more outgoing and I'm more confident with that name. It's
Gotcha.
weird, but
No.
that's what it created, and it's been helpful because in a way it's helped me in Johannes, but now I've been shifting that toward Jonathan too.
Okay.
So
Are you saying you want to put more of Jonathan out there?
So I want to change Jonathan a little bit. So
Okay.
instead of being more introverted,
Yeah.
be extroverted.
Gotcha.
So be more confident with Jonathan. Like, oh, that's Jonathan. Because I feel more confident when they say, oh, that's Johonas.
Right.
And everybody thinks that's my actual name, but it's
Right,
not.
right. Well, it's like a different persona that you can tap into when Jonathan feels a little like shy to do something, Johonas goes out there and does it.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. You said you're kind of wanting to shift Jonathan though from being a little bit more. I feel like I'm talking about two different people now.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to shift yourself from being a little less introverted, a little more extroverted. Why?
Because since I was young, I was always the shy little boy that wasn't able to talk. Everybody in my family is extroverted,
Gotcha.
and Jonathan was the only introverted.
Introverted.
So I was just like, I want to change that. And that a lot of things helped me, like dancing helped me get out there as Jonathan.
Okay.
Um,
What type of dancing?
Salsa.
Okay, gotcha.
So salsa got me out there, of course, since it runs in the family.
For sure.
Like, you
For
have
sure.
to learn. And I was like, okay, I will. But I was super shy, so I was like, everybody's looking at me. I cannot dance. No. But I was able to dance. It was just my own hand not letting me able to
Right,
do that.
right.
But yeah,
Okay, gotcha. And so I'm sure you saw your family with their extrovertedness, and they were getting that positive quality was giving them benefits that you were like, I want that too.
exactly. Yeah.
Love
Especially
that.
my brother. He's the one I always look up to, and he's very outgoing, and he's compassionate, and he's just I don't know. There's something about him. He has this charisma that you're just like, okay, I'm drawn to him.
Okay.
Like, and I was like, I want to build that.
Yeah.
And that's what Johonas created.
For sure. Okay, love that. So tell me about your journey. So we wanted to discuss two journeys: your journey as a model and your journey as an athlete. Two kind of very different things. Let's start with your journey as a model. When did you decide that I want to go into modeling and really start that career?
So when I started 2 years ago.
Okay.
Exactly 2 years ago when I saw an ad for Cuero and Co.
Gotcha.
So I was like, I think let me just give it a shot.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was legit or not,
Right.
so I
Right.
was like, let me just give it a shot and see if they reached out. I sent the little submission that they put out, and then immediately they reached out with the email. I was like, okay.
Oh, you're real.
And then I was like, okay. So we set up a first interview, and I went to meet, sit down with Jocelyn, which is the CEO. And from that first interview, we went to the second interview, and that's
Okay.
when I made my decision of, I actually want to do this.
Yeah.
What's holding me back? Nothing. So at the time, it was during COVID, and it was more of I want to do something during this time, and that was my way out.
Gotcha.
So I took that opportunity. At first, it was more of a hobby. I was like, okay, I just want to do this for fun, see how
Right,
it is,
right.
grow my confidence more. And that's how I started the first few months. But then eventually, doing a few castings and shows, I started getting just motivated to go more, do more.
Yeah.
And that's when I made the decision. I actually want something like this. To this day, I still have my goal to be, the top model,
For
top
sure,
male
for
model, and I want to do that internationally. So
Okay, I love that.
That was like 5 months into the program when I decided that.
Okay, awesome. And you've been doing excellent. Like from the day that I started, you've always been out there. I've always seen your face everywhere on my Instagram, which makes you just unforgettable, which is something we talked about recently, right? So you're definitely an example of somebody who's just consistently out there, and I love that for you. That you're getting that exposure and you're getting into people's minds. So with modeling, for somebody like myself who started after you, still very very novice in all this. What would be like a piece of advice that you would give to models really just now starting their journey?
Just starting their journey. That's a tough one, but from my experience, it was always um, being able to get outside of your head. So don't beat yourself up if you can't get it the first time.
Mm.
Be consistent, always practice, and you will see the improvement in that.
Right, because you're part of the coaching. Like I see you all the time helping people out. Would you practice outside of your class?
Yes, I always practice out of my class. When I would go to the store, I would be walking.
In the store?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Just Runway down the
yeah.
cereal aisle?
You're like, it's empty. All right, let me take advantage. And you just go. You're like, okay, let me practice this. Let me practice my posture so I can know how
Gotcha.
it feels. So I would do that, and then at home, since they always, bug me about it, like, let's see your model walk. It was practice for me too.
At
Even
home?
though,
Like your family would
yeah,
bug you
they're
about
like,
it?
let's see it since you're a model now.
Oh, I love
was
that.
like, okay, so I would do that with everybody, and then like they would get in it with too. They're like, okay, show us. And so helping them out kind of helped me,
For sure.
and it grew my confidence up because they're like, they were not saying it because I was model. They're like, okay, you actually are good. So that helped me a lot. Just practicing outside,
Yeah.
and instead of just, I'm just going to class and practice there and that's it. No, I practice on the outside. I try to keep it 24/7. So
And-
anywhere I go, you'll see me model walk.
Well, it really feels like the way that you talked about it at the grocery store really feels like you adapted it into who you are.
Yeah.
Right? It's like this isn't a hobby anymore. This is me, and that's super cool. For do you feel that when you started modeling, it was something that came naturally, or do you feel like you were bad at it at first, for lack of better words?
Well, at first, I had the walk already,
Okay.
and I got that. I saw that, but I also got it from comments from coaches, and I was just like, okay, I got the walk, but I'm still lacking the confidence and like the posture. Like there was still something that was missing. So I was a little bit already, kind of ahead of everyone because I already had that.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel that way.
Okay.
So I would say that I was in an advantage.
So it's like your coaches were telling you you got it. You didn't feel that way, but you definitely now looking at it back, you recognize it. Oh, that did help a lot.
It did.
For modeling, what was the hardest thing for you to learn? Like in all the stuff they taught you, and maybe something you're still learning now.
It's a tough question. Honestly,
Because I see people like struggle either, but it's the posing, it's the expressions. For me, it was the expressions, maybe styling themselves, putting themselves out there. What would you say was, if anything, the hardest thing for you to really learn or start doing?
I would say it would be the expressing yourself, being able to emote. That's still, it's not difficult to this day. It's just remembering that you could change your expressions throughout the shoot that you're having, because it doesn't matter what you're wearing, just express yourself.
Right.
So it's always remembering that, because sometimes you're too hard, like I'm too hard to myself, so I'm like, I didn't do that right, or I forgot to express myself. But sometimes it's just let loose, go with the flow. If there's music, express yourself with the music,
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
act like you're just kind of in a video shoot, but you're not.
Right.
But that's, to this day I still practice that emoting. So when I have shoots, I always pick an emotion to do for that shoot, and it's always different from the other ones.
Gotcha.
So instead of just being fierce, that's like the go-to.
Right,
Change
right.
that up. You know, be cheerful, be surprised, be
Right.
shocked, be scared.
I remember
be
one of your
sad.
favorite posts that I seen was one where you just had such a genuine smile, and like energy is contagious,
Yeah.
right? So it was like, and I commented, I was like, your smile is so genuine because it just like it stood out from all the fierce posts as something different because everybody does go to that fierce post. So it was nice to just like see you looking stylish but also smiling. I was like, that's cool.
That was I was self-conscious about that because I had braces before, so I wouldn't
Okay.
smile for that reason. But I had to embrace that. I'm like, they're eventually going to come off. Start practicing now.
For
Smile to the camera, and just show who you are, because you're always smiling.
Right.
So that was just me doing it in a picture this time.
Right. Gotcha. Love that. All right, so I started off by saying that like I met you at Korea, and when I met you, it was my first day of class, and I came in and I had no idea like where class was or anything because I didn't know I was my first day there, right? And you showed up right away and introduced yourself, asked me if I needed any help. I told you I'm here for Korea. And you said like, oh, okay, go ahead and take a seat there. Like you were right away just helping everybody just kind of become familiar, and you've always helped everybody. What makes you so nice? Where does that come from? Like, not everybody's like that. So I want to know, like, well, how would you say, or what would you say makes you so nice?
I'll say my background, my family, my mom and my dad. They always raised us to be, outgoing and nice to everyone, no matter what, because it goes a long way. And just giving that helping hand, I think, is a reward for myself, because it helps the other person out, and you're like,
right.
okay, I did help them in this need, and I feel good for that.
Yeah.
So I think it was more of my parents.
Okay, gotcha. So you've kind of always been like this, would you say?
Yeah, it's just before I used to be shy about it. So unless you talk to me first,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, you wouldn't know I'm nice.
Right, but now you're out. You're the first one to talk.
Yes, exactly.
Love that. So with being really nice, how do you feel about the statement that you can be too nice? Not you, but
no.
like, how do you feel about when people say that? Oh, that person's too nice.
Well, I honestly think I'll say when they say that, it's taken out of proportion, because you can never be too nice.
Okay.
In either way in the world, we need kindness.
Yeah.
And nice people will carry that kindness and compassion for others. So if it's saying too nice, then I guess we're not going to be nice at all. So that's how I take it, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm too nice. I'm nice to everyone equally, and there's a difference between nice and trying to do more than that when it comes to like relationship wise, one-on-ones with people. Let's say if you like someone, you're gonna be nice, but at that point, you're not taking it just nice. You're letting them know there's more that you're offering to them.
Right.
So I think that's how it is.
I feel you, because like there's being nice to everybody, but you do have those people that like you go the extra mile,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's what makes them those people.
Exactly. Those are the ones closest to you always, because it's not you're just nice. You have the love for them, so
Right.
you will take that extra mile. You're like, heck, I'll do that for you. Come
Oh,
on.
for sure. I have my people for sure. It's like less than 10 people who it's like anything,
Exactly.
anything in the world they can have from me. Anything. One more thing on this. Nice, you're doing a great job, by the way. One more thing on this. So when you are kind to people, do you ever expect anything in return?
No. Like I said before, well, I haven't said it before, but I don't have any expectations from anyone when I am nice to them, because if they don't meet any expectations, you don't want to be nice to them at all. I've seen that play in some situations, but not for myself. So I don't expect anything back. I'll do that out of the kindness of my heart, and just to see you strive and do better for yourself. And that's it. At the end of the day, that's it for me. So I don't expect anything else. And I always tell people, like, I'm doing this and I don't expect anything back. So don't think that I want something back from you,
Right,
your
right.
attention or anything. No,
You're just being kind,
yeah, that's just me.
and that's it. And you go to sleep happy that you were just
Exactly.
kind.
I'm
For
just
sure.
like, okay, I'm going to sleep now.
All right. So one more time before we move on from this part of the conversation, what advice would you give to anybody that just started? What advice would you give to yourself when you were starting your fitness trip? Your not your fitness, your modeling journey.
um,
I just think you're really fit, so that just kind of came out.
Thank you.
So, what
um,
advice would you give to Johannes when he first started his modeling journey?
my modeling journey would be, you know, don't have any high expectations of quick results,
Okay,
because it takes time.
for
You
sure.
you need the time and your own space to see the progress and not to expect, look, I'm gonna do this within a week, because
Right.
sometimes if you don't meet it, you're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
So just don't expect too much of yourself and be open for whatever comes your way.
All right, cool. Love
So
that.
that's it.
Thank you.
You're
So,
welcome.
multifaceted person here. You also are an athlete. What type of athlete?
I play soccer, so I'm a soccer athlete.
How long have you been playing soccer?
I've been playing for 16 years already.
16 years. Aren't you like 16?
No, damn, I look young, man.
Oh God.
No.
So 16 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Was that something your family did? How'd you get into it so young?
So from the background, of course, family are most of them are athletes, but everybody plays different. So we have swimmers, we have basketball players, and we have soccer players. But in my main family, the first ones were my dad. He played soccer in the military, and then my brother played soccer too. So since I was always the one to look up to him,
Right.
I was like, okay, that's cool. So I did it because of him at first.
Right. Right.
The same thing. I just want to give it a try, but
Yeah.
then I fell in love with it.
Gotcha.
So it became a passion of mine, and I've been playing ever since.
Okay. Love that. What for now where you're at? What are your current ambitions right now? I know you were telling me about them the other day.
So right now, I'm in training. I'm doing a few trials for some teams here in Arizona.
Okay.
That way I could get an opportunity for the next level. I want to go either semi-pro or professional.
For sure.
Um,
Love the ambition.
so that's my few goals that I have set, and I think this is the year for it. It's just waiting to get those callbacks or anything from them.
Right.
Like, okay, this is the next test for you.
Right.
So I'm just waiting for that.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you get a no, you continue, because it's never too late to.
Right.
So
Right. The rejection is just redirection.
Exactly.
For sure. Being an athlete, and I want to ask you about the advice you'd give to my youth that I have. I have a lot of soccer players that are 13, 14. They're starting middle school soccer. So I want to ask you about that later. But for right now, having played soccer for so long, now wanting to go professional, what is the most difficult thing for you to do in the journey right now?
Sacrificing time, because you need to sacrifice time for training, sacrifice time to game plan, to strategize, to look at other players and learn from them. Because if you don't sacrifice the time or make time for that, you're not gonna grow. Let's say with an intelligence for the game, you'll grow with the physical part by itself, but you need both parts at the end of the day to grow to the next level too.
Gotcha. So sacrificing time, really immersing into it.
Yeah, because you gotta just give it your all.
Right.
It's like you can't give it half because you're not gonna get it.
You'll get half.
You'll get half, yeah, and that's not gonna take you to semi-pro or professional.
Right.
I'll take you just to as far as that gets you.
Right. Right. So you, and on your journey, the most difficult thing to do is sacrificing time, or that's the hardest thing that you have to do. What, if anything, are you not willing to sacrifice for your journey?
Not willing to sacrifice my journey.
Like, because we can sacrifice a lot, right? But what is to Johonas? What is something you're not willing to sacrifice ever, if anything?
That's a good question. I haven't
Trying to
thought
get
about
deep,
that one,
trying to get deep into it, yeah. Because I know you. I know you're an ambitious person. I see it. Your actions speak louder than your words. So I'm just curious, like, what just is the non-negotiable? I will not sacrifice this, if anything.
I'll say it would be anything physical. It would just be more of my time with giving my time to God. I wouldn't be able to sacrifice that.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's one thing I would not sacrifice.
Is that like going to church every Sunday, or what do you mean
So
time to God?
that's taking time out of your day to either journal, talk to him, and just build that relationship. It's not only Sundays church. Like yeah, I sacrificed actually time. So I took a season off
Okay,
so I could go to church
gotcha.
because I wasn't going for a long time and my connection felt lost. So that's something to redirect you again back to him.
Right.
So I feel it's just you just need to make time for him, and it could be 10 minutes out of your day. You just make time for him and talk.
Gotcha.
Because sometimes we're going through a rough time that day and we need someone to
Right,
talk to,
right.
and that's him right there.
Okay, I love that. So no matter what's going on, you're always gonna find time for that.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that. Cool. I was just curious.
Yeah,
So
you're good.
hit me with that deep question. Speaking of God, so tell me about I mean, it's obvious that God is so important to you. One thing that you wanted to talk about staying true to God on your journey as an adolescent, on your journey as a model, on your journey as an athlete, all these ambitions, all these things that's going on, but always staying true to God. What does that mean to you, or how has that been a challenge for you in life?
So it's been a challenge because you get faced with certain decisions you could take that will, let's say, damage your values,
Mm,
and you can't compromise for them. So I'm not saying I haven't fallen for them. I've fallen for them, and I compromised before.
gotcha.
And at the end of the day, that was not a great feeling for me because
Gotcha.
it was only temporary. So why sacrifice that
Right.
when you could have when you could have the relationship you already have for God forever?
Right. Right.
So um, it's just I'll say it's just be that, not not compromising, or if you get faced with something that you have to compromise with, don't.
So,
At the end of the day, that's for me. I always tell myself, don't compromise because you don't want that just temporary. You have something forever right now.
right.
So
Right.
don't do that.
And I think where people who may not be religious, I think where everybody can relate is like we all have values, right?
Yes.
They're either instilled in us by our religion or by our parents. We all have values, and we sometimes do sacrifice those values because we're chasing that temporary happiness or that temporary excitement. But then afterwards, we feel terrible, right? And especially depending on the severity of it, it's something that could be with you for life. And so I definitely feel you on that. I think that's really good advice to give ourselves as far as, stay true to your values.
So yeah, I'll say that was the biggest challenge. Don't compromise with any temporary or any situation that you get presented.
If you're cool with it, do you have a story that you could share when it was hard for you do you have a story that you could share where it was a little bit difficult in that regard to stay true to God, but you persevered?
So yeah, so this is experience dating wise,
Okay.
where I've met someone before, and just because of the moment or the feeling that you get, you want to compromise for them,
Right.
and I was so close to giving in, but not only did I tell myself, hey, like you can't compromise for this person. It's just a person, one person. You can't compromise. It's like compromising your goals for them. Don't do that.
Right.
You don't want to compromise your morals or your values. So that was a reminder in the back of my head, but also having this ring. So this is always a
Can you
reminder
show?
for me to not compromise for
Okay.
any decisions that I have.
I thought you were married.
No, no, I'm too young. I'm too young. But yeah, it's always a reminder to compromise, to not compromise. So
Okay, I
it's
like
like,
that.
do not compromise, Jonathan. Like, there, just trust in the plan, and you'll see the results later on the road.
Gotcha. Did you give yourself that ring, or did somebody else give it to you?
No, I gave myself this ring 2 years ago exactly.
That's
too.
dope. That's
so
dope.
I've been having it. I lost it for a little bit. I wasn't devastated.
Uh-huh.
I had a feeling I was gonna find it again, and I did.
Where was
So
it? In the laundry basket?
It was in the car. It was in the car, a friend's car, because I was helping them move, and it slipped out, and I didn't notice until afterwards. And they told me they didn't find it. And then what was it? 8 months later, they were deep cleaning
8 months
it.
later.
8 months
Wow.
later, and they found it. And they're like, "Hey, I found your ring." I was like, "No way!" I was so happy because I was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
I was gonna find it again, and that's why I didn't buy a new one.
I was about to ask, did you ever replace it?
No,
You
I
knew
didn't
you were
want
going to find it.
Yes, so I didn't want to replace it, and that's just by having hope and faith, like you
Yeah.
will see like how far it will take you.
Love
And,
that. The universe works in mysterious ways.
Exactly, and That's why either way, if I would have not found it, I would have not replaced it because I already had it engraved. And each time I looked at my hand, it's like if I already see it right there.
Right, because it's more here than it is actually material.
Exactly.
I love that. Do me a favor, switch that over to the other side, just to be safe. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so you seem like you have a really good relationship with yourself,
Yes.
right? So, because that's what I'm picking up on right here is that you are very comfortable. You seem like you're very comfortable, just kind of like being alone. You when you make a mistake, you're willing to forgive yourself. Would you say you have a good relationship with yourself?
Yes. I'll say at first I didn't
Okay.
because I wasn't able to forgive myself.
What's that first? How long ago? Like when you were in middle school, high school, after?
I'll say no, not that far ago. I'll say 2 years ago. That's when it was rough for me during COVID, and for things or decisions I made, I wasn't able to forgive myself. I was like, no, like, I deserve whatever I have coming for me, and I started to change that, and that's where my connection with God came.
Gotcha.
Changing that little ways that you talk to yourself, the ways that you respond to things, because everything at the end of the day is a learning lesson, and you shouldn't be hard on yourself for that.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like you used to be hard on yourself to the point where you even felt that you deserved any miscomings that came your way. What made you change though? What changed your mindset into having a better connection with yourself and being able to forgive yourself?
So with that, I would say the love that I shared to others, because I was able to forgive others for things, and I wasn't able to forgive myself. So that's where I was like, how am I able to do that, and not do it for myself? So that was when I had like a little perspective change, like a little slap in the face, like you could forgive yourself if you forgive other people. The same love you share for them, share to yourself. I started doing that more. When I made little small mistakes, I'm like, oh, that's all right, Jonathan. Like, keep going.
Yeah.
It's a mistake. We'll get through it, and that's fine. You learn from it. And then I started creating more of a love for myself in that point.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I love that because we do tend to love other people so much, but then we forget to do it for ourselves.
Exactly.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So what? So I forgot to ask you this question in regards to the athletics. I have a lot of youth who, because I'm a middle school teacher, so I have a lot of students who they're just starting their like soccer career, right? Maybe a little later than the kids who like started very, very young. But what advice would you give to them? Imagine like my 13, 14-year-olds who are starting soccer for the first time. They want to go professional. What advice would you give to them off the top of your head?
To have fun, and just trust the process.
Okay.
And like I said, don't have any high expectations for yourself at the beginning. Later on, as you build more development, then you can start setting expectations for yourself, goals that you will be able to achieve.
Okay.
So that would be.
I feel like that's something that everybody can relate to is like when you're starting something, don't have those high expectations. But at some point, we got to change those expectations, right? Like we have to have higher expectations for
exactly. And that's when you're like, okay, I am going to take it to the next level, and you go for it. And you give it your all. Because at first, if you do that, and you're having fun, you're not giving it your all yet because you're just having fun, enjoying it to see how it feels for you, if you like it that much or if you have a love for it. Because at first, people start playing it more for a hobby and they just want something extra to keep them fit. And it's understandable because that's their expectation. I just want to be fit. I want to have fun. That's it. So at first, do that. But once you start growing a passion for it, that's when your expectations change. You're like, okay, I actually do want to take it to the next level. I love it. It's not just a game for me. It's more my life now. So that's when you change it.
And you kind of have to because your expectations have to match the world's expectations at that point, right? It's like the world expects certain things from professional athletes. And so that means that your expectations of yourself have to also match the world's expectations, which I think is where people have a dissonance when they want to do something professionally, let's say, but they're still kind of like what you're saying in that I'm just having fun with it, right? I don't have to take this super seriously, but I think I should be a professional. But the world doesn't think that way, right? The world is like, no, you have to meet our expectations here, and that's where that dissonance can come in.
Yeah, exactly, because the world expects more from you, more time. And like I said, you have to sacrifice time a lot for when you're striving for something. It's not only for sports. If you want something, you got to sacrifice time and build on that skill, and you'll see how far it'll get you. So it's sacrificing, a lot of things.
For sure. All right, so kind of to close things up, So I asked this to everybody. What is a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self? So think about middle school Johannes, Jonathan at that point. Think about him. What is the advice that you would give to yourself from then to that got you to here now?
To here now. So what would just to kind of fasten the make the process faster in a way,
Not to
or
make the process, I guess you could say make the process faster, but I want to know, like, you know the struggles you've been through,
Mhm.
you know the celebrations you've had. If you could do it all again, you could go back in time and you could speak to middle school Jonathan, what is the advice that you would give to him that would make it faster, would make it easier to get to now?
having those tough conversations with the people around me, having
Oh, okay.
those tough conversations and also not compromising, because
What do you mean by tough conversations?
so being able to ask the questions, regarding a relationship or anyone, like, because you want to keep that relationship, like you have to ask this tough conversations of like, hey, how can we do better, or how can we fix this? Like those little conversations are the ones that change, the whole relationship. And
Right.
if you don't have them, you're not gonna know.
And you're not talking about just romantic conversations.
No.
You're talking about conversations with everybody.
Friendships, your mom and dad, your
Hmm.
siblings, because sometimes we get, when I was young, we would get mad at each other and we
Right,
wouldn't
right.
talk. And we will be like, everything's fine. At the end of the day, it wouldn't, because they would still bring it up. So it's like, you still have to
Right.
have those conversations with them. And be
Yep.
like, okay, why are you still bringing this up? Like, what do we need to talk about
Yeah.
to make this kind of like go away and just be in the past now?
Right.
So it's
Right.
just having those conversations.
That is so. I hadn't thought about that, but that has also been something super significant in my life. Whereas, like, once I started having the tough conversations with my mom and my brothers, our relationship as a family changed dynamically, and it has been one of the best things that ever happened.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's really cool. I like that. Is that the same advice you would give to yourself now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, because it's
you're the first yes I got on that question. Tell me about it.
because it's still hard to have those conversations because you don't know what the other person is thinking. So I've been doing a little bit more of a change of perspective because I'm not supposed to know what they're thinking. I
Right.
have to wait until they answer, and not expect them to have the answer that I have in my head.
Right,
It's like
right.
that's why I say don't set expectations because they might disappoint you.
Yep.
So just having those conversations, at a given time. Don't wait too long. As soon as you see something pop up, it's like, hey, like I saw this, like, can we just talk about it? Like,
Yeah.
just bringing it up,
Right.
making it known, because there's always an elephant in the room if you don't bring it up.
Right. And if they don't want to have those conversations, then what do you do then?
If they don't, I kind of just, say what I have to say and kind of not pull away, but let them know that I'm looking out for myself too, because I would want our relationship to flourish.
For sure.
But if they're not accepting that by just having a simple conversation, then I won't pursue that more.
Right. Actions speak louder than
So
words.
I would just, give them the same level of relations that we're at that point, but no more than that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have for you.
Oh, thank
This
you.
was excellent. I really appreciate it. I think they had a lot of amazing things to share.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for being on here. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
I'm out of coffee, but we can pretend.